Hello and welcome to Conchal Productions February 2025 Artist Chat. My name is Magaly Colimon-Christopher. I'm the founding artistic director of this fantastic organization. We're a nonprofit organization that focuses on the voices of Caribbean heritage artists. And this month, our guest is Juliette Jeffers. Now, let me tell you something about Juliette Jeffers. Not only have I known her for a couple of seconds on the human scale of existence, but Juliette Jeffers is an amazing, award-winning Caribbean American actor, playwright, producer, solo show coach, and performer, and director. She has written and performed 5 solo plays, and as a coach, she has helped develop and or direct over 100 solo shows. Should this be on like some amazing award-winning what is it? What's that thing called where you do a whole lot and they put you on this archive? Okay, I can't think of what I'm talking about. But
Mhm.
getting back to Juliette, Juliette is currently recurring on Tulsa King, and her 8 episode arc on The Residence, which will air on Netflix, it starts March 20th. So be sure to check that off on your must do for March. Welcome, 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 Juliette.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I love that intro. I feel
Mm,
special.
that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the conversation to highlight and spotlight these special and amazing members of our community. Now, I'm gonna start with this amazing quote that Frank Etienne, a Haitian artist, shared on his thoughts about creation and creativity. He said, "Creation is an odyssey with no stopovers."
Mm.
When I read that, I was like, yeah. So I
Hmm.
want you to tell me what thoughts come to mind when you hear that quote. What ways have your moments, your experiences, and your journey as an artist, what ways have they been experiences that were adventurous?
Well, that's a great question, and I love that quote. I feel like true artists are constantly creating. I mean, that is the nature of who we are, right?
Mm,
I when I first came out to LA, I talked about this. When I first came out to LA from New York, I moved out to be an actor. But then I turned into an artist, right? Because there is a difference, as you know. And so
mm-hmm.
and so for me, it's like that's what I do. That's the only thing I know. I have to create. And that means that we are creating whether we're getting paid or not, right? Just because it's what we breathe to do, what we live to do, it's what we do. And so I love that quote, um, because that's my life. That's what I live. When, like my one of my friends, my childhood friends said to me, I was in New York at the time and I was unemployed. And she goes, "You're the busiest unemployed person I've ever met." You know?
We don't use that phrase. We don't use that phrase.
Yes, yes, yes. So, but that's the thing. It's like constantly moving, going, creating, when I'm not on set, I'm working on my own stuff. I mean, that's what led me to start creating solo shows because I wasn't sitting around waiting for the phone to ring because I'm an artist.
So let's just segue to solo shows.
Mm.
What inspired you to write a solo show? Because I know for a fact myself what inspired me to start writing. Whenever anybody asks me, what inspires you to write these things? I say ancestral spirits. I'm just a conduit, right?
Mm. Hmm.
I all my stories are filled with Haitian themes and Haitian American perspectives. I'm a conduit. What inspired you to start writing?
Yeah, well, you mentioned ancestors. My father was a writer, playwright, poet. He wrote short stories. And so I definitely got that gene from him. Um, and also he was a proud Navision, born and raised in Nevis. And so most all of my shows, as a matter of fact, every single solo play that I've written has some, if it doesn't have a Caribbean theme, it has
Mm.
Caribbean characters in it for sure. Because for me, we need to be more represented out there. So it's, also if I audition for something, I mean, I know it's going off a little bit, but like if I audition for something and I feel like that character can be Caribbean, I might send in two takes, you know,
Hmm.
because if she's a nurse and she's working in New York City, 9 times out of 10, she's gonna be talking like this. Okay. 9 times out of 10.
Or like this, think she gonna
Oh,
be talking like this, and she has to say,
mhm.
or she's gonna be talking with a Latino accent, some kind,
Exactly.
or Indian accent. They're gonna be someone from some diaspora,
Yes.
or the
So
first generation of something, or the immigrant from somewhere.
right. So I like to make sure that we are all represented in my work,
Mm.
whenever I can. And so in terms of creating specifically solo plays, I I got to the point in my career where things were slow for me. And as I mentioned before, I'm not the type of person that's going to sit around waiting for the phone to ring. And so I've always, like when I was a kid, I always liked to do different characters. And of course, growing up in New York City, we have it all over. We have all kinds of accents and ethnicities, and I'm a sponge.
Hmm.
So I always love to do different characters and accents. So I knew that a solo show was in me, and I was very inspired by Whoopi Goldberg's solo
Mm.
show years ago.
Oh
And
my God, blew my mind.
right?
The
Yeah.
long hair, the long hair. I was like,
Oh
wait a
yeah.
minute, was she in my bedroom as a child?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it was comedic, but yes, she was making a statement,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
best. Um, and so I knew that I wanted to do a solo show, but I didn't know what it was going to be about. And I actually went to it's actually where I am right now, but I went to a healing center, a holistic healing center, and I was working with um uh energy healer. And she was talking to me, and this is after my brother passed away. And she said to me, she sensed, that I was still holding on to it. I still had anger, before him leaving me. And she said, I'm going to give you an assignment. I want you to go home, write a letter to your brother every day for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, I want you to tell him that you forgive him for leaving you. And I did that. And at the end of the 30 days, I wasn't ready to I wasn't ready to forgive him yet. But I was sharing that with my friend Reggie Roth Bythewood, who I grew up with, he's family. Um, and he said, why don't you write your show about your brother? You know,
Mm.
based on those letters. And so we started working together. He was my writing mentor, my director, my producer for my very first solo play. And so that's how the first started. And after that, I just started creating.
Beautiful.
Mm,
Thank you for sharing how you incorporated healing into your creativity. Because
mhm,
for me, art is about change. Art is about healing. Art is about awakening.
mhm.
When did you wake up to the importance of intertwining healing into being a creative?
Well, first of all, I would say 10th grade, I was in the Hal Jackson's Talented Teens beauty pageant. Yes, I was. And
Oh yeah. Yeah, my
uh-huh.
beauty pageant time. Mhm.
Oh yeah. And
Mhm.
I wrote a monologue. I mean, I was way ahead of my time. Like I wrote a monologue um and so I think just that in and of itself, just the fact that I was writing a monologue already says something about it. It planted the seed for who I became as an artist.
Oh my gosh.
So I haven't even really put that together until right now that was my first moment of healing through art, healing myself through art. And almost always, I'll say always, when you are healing yourself in some way and speaking your
Mm.
truth. it's going to heal somebody else.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. So that was
True.
my first taste of it. And ever since, all of my solo pieces have been, um, healing in some way or another.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
And I love that not only are you using art to heal, but that you're also claiming space as a person teaching others to find a platform, own the platform for telling their story. So, was
Yeah,
there a particular teacher in your journey as a creative that inspired you to say, maybe I would like to share my craft as a teacher and inspire others to take their space as artists?
absolutely. And we're going to go back to high school again, 11th grade. So I went to the High School Performing Arts in Manhattan.
LaGuardia High School of Performing Arts, is that one? The
Yes,
one
yes.
in movies? Okay.
The one in yes, exactly. The movie Fame or the TV show for others that might not know about the movie. Um, that was based on the high school that I went to. And there was a teacher, Mr. Abeson, Tony Abeson, who is still coaching, by the way. He's coaching
Mm,
and he has acting classes outside of school, but I knew him from high school, and he just, method actor, method teacher. I was a part of a group called the Bus and Truck group, and what we would do, this was in 11th grade, we would bring in this particular theme that we had was about dreams and how dreams get crushed by our parents, our peers, whatever. And and so what he wanted us to do was to go around and just find stories, real life stories about people who had dreams that ended up, either deferring them or just squashed them completely. And and then we would act it out. We would do improv based on a story. And then slowly but surely we'd piece it together and we had a show. And so it was there were about 20 of us, 20 actors in this particular troupe. And that's how we created a show. And so I love that creative process of coming together to create a piece, a final piece. And so that's what I do with my artists when I'm working with them one-on-one.
mm,
Like, I mean, lots of times when someone does a solo show, their first one tends to be about their lives. And um, so yeah, I just have them, I give them writing exercises to um share about experiences that they've had in their lives growing up, and then we put it all together to make a show, but it's all coming from truth. It's all coming from real life experiences, and yet again, healing.
mm, mm. I love that.
Mhm.
Now, I heard, or actually I saw on Instagram, that you've been invited to many different Caribbean countries to teach workshops. And I'm particularly interested in your experience teaching workshops in your parents' homeland, St. Kitts Nevis. What was
Yes.
that like?
Ah, magical.
Mm,
Magic. Because I had a thought years ago. I was in St. Kitts and Nevis, both islands, because they're sister islands. And and I remember, so I have a cousin who teaches kids in St. Kitts, and
hmm
and I remember going and talking to the kids at one point, um, and I thought to myself, oh, it'd be really cool to come back and teach acting one day, So originally my thought was to teach children acting because I thought to myself, how much do they have of that there? I don't know how much they have. And it certainly is not a place, St. Kitts or Nevis is certainly not a place that nurtures that as a career option, you know? So,
So let's stick with that.
mhm.
What do you think is the genesis of that in our Caribbean community? Not nurturing, wanting to be a performer of theater and film, but what is there any nurturing of the arts? I know you're not living there, but you have an opinion. What is
Yeah.
the genesis of that?
I mean, it could be just a fear of, because this being an artist is very unstable, so it might be just the fear of um kind of introducing the young ones to something that is not going to be stable, because there's a lot of
Mm,
importance put on, being successful, being that doctor, that lawyer, that, hard worker, and earning money to feed your family and all of that. And as an artist, it's not necessarily always the case,
yeah.
But I also think that it's also because there's not enough of us doing it there to show examples of the success, right? And so that's why, I'm working with the Nevis government to help them create their film industry, because they want to do it, and they're already doing a lot of things to start building their film
Hmm.
industry there, but they need to see examples of it, that it is something that is viable and that can work, so that the kids can look up to that, aspire to that, and say, "Oh, I want to do that too," you know?
I'm excited that you're doing that because I remember speaking with a member of the St. Kitts and Nevis Film Commission. Because
Yes.
as you know,
Yeah.
we have a film festival, and my goal was
Yes.
to have a conversation, share a
Mhm,
conversation with international artists with the commission, and we will do that someday, right? We
mhm,
haven't done that yet. But what I was learning was that the focus was bringing in international productions to shoot there. And I'm
mhm.
so excited that you're saying that's great, but let's empower the voices in St. Kitts and Nevis to do their own work and claim their space as artists.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have um I have a film that I'm planning on shooting there, short film that I'm planning
Okay.
there. So that's, going to be my contribution to getting the ball rolling. And I want to use local director, local everybody. I mean, I'm going to be in it just because. Um,
Because you better.
Right, right. And then everyone around me, I want to surround myself with petitions and divisions, who are interested in the film industry, so that we can
Do they
get.
have an incentive? Because I know the
Yeah,
Bahamas has a filmmaker incentive. Do they have an incentive?
they do, yes. And I can, I have a relationship with Pam, who's the commissioner there. So if that's something that you're interested in, or we can talk about that later in terms of sharing that with your community as well.
Absolutely.
It's definitely, they want it, and so they're open for it.
Okay, back on track. What was it like? So were you teaching adults or were you teaching
So
various
when
ages in your workshop?
so when I went there, it was adults. It was 18 and over.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, see, the thing is, it's amazing how much natural raw talent is there, you know? And so that's what I was very excited to see, just natural instincts, and all they need is just some guidance, right? And
Mm,
and it was fun. It was like playing, we just all became
beautiful.
kids again, and we were just playing, and creating art.
Do you have any footage? Did you guys record the creating of the art?
You know what, we did, but I don't have it yet, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's exciting.
forgot that we recorded that. So yeah, at some point I'll get that footage.
Beautiful. How did your holistic perspectives on being a creative human come into play? If you don't mind sharing that. Because
Mhm.
I think it's really important for us to inspire artists to understand that being an artist is a holistic experience, mind, body, spirit. And what I love about you is that that is your ethos, that is how you approach the craft. And
Mhm.
if you don't mind sharing a few snippets to
Yeah.
inspire our audience to join us on this journey of discovering, you got to be a full human on this quest, on this creative journey.
Yes, absolutely. So So Tulsa King, what's interesting is that when I first auditioned for it, it was a guest star role, and they did say that it was going to recur. They said it was going to be 2 episodes. This is in the first season. Um, but the material didn't look like guest star material, like there wasn't
Mm,
that many lines, right? And my agent said, "Oh, it's gonna recur and it's gonna, grow." So I said, "Okay." So I think that in and of itself, because I have gotten to a point in my career where I only do guest star roles, and I like to do roles that are meaty, right? That have something for me to chew on. And
mm,
and so I'm so glad that I decided to audition for it and not pass on it because it has grown. And so that was just the first season. And then in the second season, I ended up doing 5 episodes. But what's so interesting is that I didn't know in the beginning how many episodes it was going to be. Like they called me back. I didn't know they were going to call me back for the second season, first of all, And then when they did, they were like, okay, is she available for this date, this episode? Okay, no, we're going to need 2 more episodes. So it just kept adding on. And then finally, there was one particular episode where I felt like, I can sink
mm,
my teeth into this, and
mm,
it was a nice arc for my character. Um, and and so I think that's one of those things where, they say you don't judge a book by its cover, like you just never know. And I think it was also just very appealing that it was Stallone doing TV, which he doesn't normally do. So I thought this might end up being successful, and it sure enough was. Um, and in terms of the spiritual work, I mean, I start with the spiritual in whatever I do, right? And so there's whether it's meditating, whether it's, when I think about my character, sometimes uh, I study with Kim Gillingham. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she does dream work. And so sometimes an exercise that she'll have us do is we write a letter, dear inner self, and I'm not, don't quote me, right? So, dear inner self, please reveal, if it is your will, please reveal to me in my dreams tonight what I need to know about XYZ. And you can fill in the blank. So, if I need to go deeper with my character, I will say what I need to know to get deeper with my character, what I need,
mm.
the story or whatever. And you put the piece of paper under your pillow, and then you sleep and you dream. And then when you wake up, you write down your dreams, if you can remember them. And that's why you have to write it down as soon as you wake up, because the minute you go to the bathroom, you forget everything, right?
Of
Um,
course,
yeah.
I'm
And
guilty of that.
yeah. And then you analyze it, right? I mean, I won't go into the whole thing, but basically that's one way of using your dreams in your acting or writing, you know, which I have certainly done. And but yeah, it's like I sit with my characters. I get to know my characters. I
Hmm.
meditate, on my characters. So the spiritual aspect goes into it 100%.
Thank you for sharing that. And for those of you listening to that, I hope you're writing down notes because you can replay this and write those notes. Now, okay, so keeping online with spirit and keeping online with being a teacher and an eye opener and an awakener. An artist comes to you. They're struggling with keeping themselves enriched and motivated in this flip and fickle industry, as you could say. What are two phrases that you would use to inspire them?
Mm. Always speak your truth.
Mm.
And similar to what I said earlier, a true artist always creates.
Don't wait for permission. Just do.
Just do.
Don't
And it's
complain. Just
and it's
do.
and it's so much easier to do that these days. You have an iPhone, any kind of cell phone, right? You can just create content You don't have to wait for the money, for the any commission permission. You don't have to wait for any of that. You can just do. And you've heard the term work begets work. A body in
Mm.
motion stays in motion, right? So as you are creating and doing your thing, you will attract the work. You will attract more work.
Because that's you saying, I believe I am, I know I am a creative. So if you know it, if you believe it, the universe says, sure,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I'm going to give you more things to be creative for.
So what more things are you up to next? What more things are you about to be creative for? I know you're going to do that short film in St. Kitts Nevis.
Yes.
Anything else you want to share with us?
Um, I'm actually performing Tio Pablo, which is my fifth solo play. And Tia Rosa doesn't get enough. Tia Rosa is Tio Pablo's wife, and a lot of people know Tio, but they don't know Tia. So they will get to know Tia a little bit more in this. And I'm performing that on the 20th of March. No, sorry. I'm performing it on the 30th of March with the Los Angeles Women's Theaters Festival. So
I love that. You're a
yeah,
member of their board, right?
I used to be. I used to
Okay.
be. Yes,
Okay.
but I'm still
Okay.
very active with that organization. And so
Okay.
so yeah, so I'm gonna perform that, and that's
What's the
great.
website? What's the website? What's the
Oh,
website so people can look it up?
www.lawtf.org. And March
Fantastic.
30th, my performance, and I'll be performing with other artists, so I'll just be performing an excerpt of it. But the thing that I love about this is that I've been doing a lot of TV, and I took a step back from performing my solo shows for a while. And Adila invited me to perform, and at first I was like, I told myself I wasn't good, and I was like, nope, 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 I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Because I miss it. Like I miss being on stage. And also so my characters speak to me. And Tio Pablo was like, when am I gonna come on stage? I need to perform. Like, okay, okay, I'll give you a chance.
I love that. Just say yes. Say yes to Theo. Say yes to Theo. What? Yeah. I love it.
See?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Juliette. Thank you for all that you shared. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. This amazing woman's creative journey. You need to follow her on Instagram, TikTok. Where else are you?
TikTok, Instagram,
TikTok and Instagram,
Facebook, Facebook.
Facebook. Follow
Mhm.
her, see what she's doing in her journey. This amazing, would you say Navitian American or Kitchian American? What do I say?
It's Petition and it's Navision.
Petition?
Yeah,
Navision. Okay.
but if you want to say both, that's a hard one. Petition Navision,
Yeah,
like that's a hard one.
that's a hard one. But this amazing Caribbean
Caribbean
American,
American.
Caribbean American artist. She's inspired me, and I know if you follow her journey, you will be inspired too. So thank you for tuning in. And rich conversations like these are part of our archive on our YouTube page. So if you're like, this was a sweet conversation, where can I see some more? Go to our YouTube page at Conchell Productions or at Conchell IFF, and you can see the amazing conversations we've had in the past. And if you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you will find out when we have our next conversations because you'll be in the loop. So be sure to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube page. Just hit that button and you'll be in the know. So I'll see you next time. Have a great day. And thank you for being with us today.
Mm.
Bye.